Okay, so today we're talking about rational exponents. When I say rational numbers, what kinds of numbers are we talking about? Like fractions. And I'm only going to give you fractions, though in your future you may also see exponents that are decimals. When we're talking about rational exponents, we're saying if the base is to the power m over n, then that is equivalent to the nth root of a to the power of m. So when we look at a rational exponent, the m is our power and the n is the root. All right, so let's start easy. 9 to the power of 1/2. 1 is my power, 2 is my root. So when I say my root is 2, we're talking about a square root. So this is equivalent to saying the square root of 9, which you know what the square root of 9 is. So if I said 289 to the 1/2,
17.
That equals 17.
The power of 1 doesn't do anything, it's just the square root.
Exactly. The power of 1 does not do anything. Okay, so this is just the square root of 289, which last week you memorized, and it's 17. Let's take it up a notch. 81 to the 3/4 power. What is my root?
4.
4. So I'm looking for the 4th root of 81. What number multiplied by itself 4 times gives me 81? 3. So let's real quick just remember our cubes. 1 cubed is 2 cubed, 3 cubed, 1,000. These are up for grabs. Now, 4th root, I probably won't go much higher than 6. So 1 to the 4th is 1. What's 2 to the 4th? 3 to the 4th. 4 to the 4th. 256. And 5 to the 4th. 625. I probably won't go higher than 5 when we're talking about to the power of 4, because I'm not giving you a calculator, so I'm going to try and be fair, right? So as the number gets bigger, or as the root gets bigger, the number that you're looking for is going to be smaller. Because, right, 81 is not, like, it doesn't take much to get to 81 when you're talking about powers. So the 4th root of 81 is 3. And what is 3 to the power of 3? 27. So 81 to the power of 3/4 is equivalent to 27. So it's like when we say square root. If I say, what's the square root of 256? You in your mind are saying, what number multiplied by itself gives me 256? 16. What's the square root of 196? 14. That's saying that number times itself, so 14 squared equals 196. If we're saying the cubed root, you're saying what number times itself 3 times is the number that in question. So what's the cubed root of 216? 6. What's the cubed root of 729? 9. If you ask what is the 4th root of 81, you're saying what number times itself 4 times gives me 81. Okay. What is x to the 1/2? What would you write? Do you know what x is?
Square root of x.
You don't know what x is, so it's just the square root of x. Notice how I don't have anything in the little space right here, but I do have a 4 in the space right here. So if you don't see anything here, what root are they talking about? The square root. If you do see this, it is a different root. This is the 4th root. Rational exponents are still exponents, so we can use the rules that we've talked about this week. X to the 3/2 times x to the 1/2. This is our product of powers. When they have the same base and these are being multiplied, what can I do with the exponents? Add them. So what is 3/2 plus 1/2? 2. So this would be equivalent to x squared. Again, exponents will follow the same laws we've been talking about. So if I have x to the 3/4 squared, what would I do with these two exponents? Multiply. And 3/4 times 2 is 6/4 simplifies to 3/2. Remember, we're talking about rational exponents, and because we have the power and root, if you change the 3/2 to 1.5, that doesn't tell you the power or the root. So you're going to want to leave these as fractions. So x to the 3/2. And if I were to rewrite this in radical form, my root is the square root, and my power is 3. What about just x to the 5/7? What's my root? 7 is the root, and the power is 5. And you can write that like this, with the power on the inside, or you can write it like this, with the power on the outside, in parentheses if you want. Because think about it with square roots and their power, or roots and their powers are opposites, like multiplication and division are opposites. So if I have 10 times 6 divided by 2, what do we get? 30. But let's say I would rather divide first and keep numbers smaller. So 10 divided by 2 times 6, what is that? 30. So powers and roots, you can take the power, you can give the power first, or you can take the root first, it won't matter. Alright, looking at number 1, it's got 10x in parentheses to the 3/5 power. So what's the root? What's the power? So which is my correct answer? B. Alright, 1 through 10, 2 minutes. Any questions on the multiple choice? How we got any of those? Alright, number 7. The square root of x. Number 8. Number 9. And number 10. It's not the square root, it is the cubed root, or the third root of 5n. Okay. Now, something I want to ask, could you write this problem like this, square root of 7n cubed? No, you cannot. Because this 7 is not getting this power of 3 right here, but is it getting the power of 3 here? So you need parentheses if you choose to do that. Okay, so to your notes, let us add one thing real quick. 3x to the 1/2. Is 3 getting that exponent? No. So this would be written 3 square root x. Whereas if you see 3x to the 1/2 here, everything gets the 1/2, so everything goes inside the radical symbol. Something else that's a little neat about rational exponents. So if I had 16 to the 2/4, that's the same thing as saying the 4th root of 16 squared. What's the 4th root of 16? What's the 4th root of 16? 2. And what's 2 squared? 4. Right? But can I simplify 2/4?
Yeah.
To 1/2. 16 to the 1/2 is the same thing as saying the square root of 16. And what's the square root of 16? So make your life easier sometimes looking at those things that simplify. Okay. All right. Back to your handout. What is the root? What is the power? So my exponent should be 5/2. What is my correct answer? D. What is my root? What is my power? So what should my rational exponent? 1/5. So x to the 1/5. Alright. The cubed root is what as a rational exponent? 1/3. Very nice. Okay, so then if I look at that, only one of them has 1/3. That's nice. Okay. 14, what is the root? What is the power? Okay, so what is our correct answer? Into the 7/6. 15. What is my power?
2.
What is my root?
3.
So what is my rational exponent?
10x.
My rational exponent is 2/3. What is my root here? 2. So remember, if they don't show you, it's a 2. So my rational exponent will be 3/2. So C is my correct answer. Okay, on number 17, raise your hand if you have your answer. Okay, Brooks, tell me what you wrote.
3n to the power of 6/5.
Okay, did I write it correctly?
No.
What do I need?
Parentheses.
I have to have parentheses. Okay, number 18. Who can tell me? 3r to the power of 3/2 with parentheses. Okay? 19. Who can tell me 19? Anthony.
10 to the power of 5, 6.
I love it when there's no coefficient, then I don't need parentheses, right? Because it's the same. All right, and 20. Jake.
In the parentheses, 6n to the power of 2/3.
Great. Okay, so let's simplify these. We're going to do these together. So remember what we talked about yesterday. When we have the power of a product, everything inside gets the exponent. So 9 gets the exponent 3/2. What would you do to find that? What would you do first? What do you think, Cal?
Find the square root of 9.
Find the square root of 9, and the square root of 9 is?
3.
So 3 to the 3rd power is?
27.
27. Okay, so luckily they tell us this here, because that's the only one with the coefficient 27. But n squared to the 3/2, what do I do with those exponents? Multiply, and 2 times 3/2 is 3. Okay. Number 22. No coefficient to worry about, so what do I do with those exponents? Multiply. M to the 12 times 2/3. What's 2/3 of 12?
8.
8. Okay. 1/3 is like asking for the cubed root. What is the cubed root of 64? 4. What is a to the 3rd power times, or to the 1/3 power? So it would just be a. So 4a. Oh, something that we can do, the square root, right? Because the power of 1/2 is equivalent to taking the square root. What's the square root of 100?
10.
What's the, ooh, 2 of these have 10. What's the square root of p to the 4th?
2.
2?
P to the second power.
P squared. The exponent is 2, but the square root of p to the 4th is not 2. It is p squared. Okay, remember what I said when the roots get high. If the root is 6, that's a pretty big root. So what does that mean about the number we're looking for? It's small. 2. Remember, because 2 to the 4th was 16, so 2 to the 5th is 32, 2 to the 6th is 64. So this is 2 to the 7th power, right? 128. Because if 2 to the 6th is 64, then 2 to the 7th is 128. Okay, so 128 would be my coefficient. X to the 6th to the 7/6.
X to the 7.
X to the 7th. Things we love, square roots. Square root of 81, 9 to the 3rd power, 729. So 729 into the 4th to the 3/2, into the 6th. Square root of b to the 4th. Square root of 64, 8 to the 3rd power,
512.
512. A squared to the 3/2,
A cubed.
A